Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, your opportunity to win is coming up. You could win $100,000 as we celebrate 100 years of News Radio WRVA. It's coming up before the end of the program, so probably within the next hour, we might give somebody $100,000 if you could give us the 4-digit code that'll unlock the big old box. And if that happens, you can win $100,000 this morning on News Radio WRVA. All right, coming up in just a matter of moments, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to talk about something that is, I think, very important, that we support the men and women in uniform that have supported us. So coming up here in just a bit, we're going to talk about the Wounded Warrior Project. The Wounded Warrior Project is something that I think is near and dear to everybody's hearts. And they help people that have been in the service, people that have served our country, that have been injured, and veterans. And there's a special race that's coming up, the Wounded Warrior Project Soldier Ride 250. It's presented by NFL Salute to Service. Highlights veteran courage, resilience, and a 1,000-mile cycling journey, making America's anniversary come true. Paralympic athletes, triathletes, an Army veteran is going to share her personal story with us with the power of adaptive sports. So we're going to meet Megan Wagner in just a moment. She's the Director of Physical Health and Wellness for the Wounded Warrior Project. Then Kelly Elmlinger is an Army vet and a Paralympic triathlete. So they're going to be calling in here in just a few moments. They're doing a tour right now, going around talking with TV and radio stations around the country about this amazing race, 1,000 miles that they're going to run. And then the job that the Wounded Warrior Project has done has been so helpful, especially to people my generation that served and came back. And I honestly think we've done such a tremendous job in America now, recognizing that a lot of the battle scars that our forefathers had never got addressed, never got talked about. How many of you have had a grandfather that served in World War II or Vietnam, and they never wanted to talk about it, and they had to hold all of that deep down inside because they were just afraid to talk about it? I think we've done a better job post-Vietnam of making sure that we appreciate those that have worn our nation's cloth and those that have served, and we continue to serve them after they put it all on the line for us. So we're going to talk with this amazing Paralympic athlete, and then the woman who really holds it all together for these wounded warriors. And they'll be joining us here in just a matter of moments here on News Radio WRVA. Don't forget, if you want to send a text message in, you can. You can always reach us at 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140 is our James Rivera text line. We check text messages at 655, 755, and 855. And I got one more second to just remind everybody, the show is now available on the Odyssey app on 1140 AM, 96.1 FM, and we've just added a live stream so you can actually watch us do the show on Facebook and YouTube at News Radio WRVA, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, Rich for America. Let's run out to our WRVA guest hotline. We're honored to welcome in two very special people. Megan Wagner is the Director of Physical Health and Wellness for the Wounded Warrior Project, and Kelly Emlinger is an Army vet, and she's going to do something I could never do, which is ride a bicycle for 1,000 miles, and they're joining us here on News Radio WRVA. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, let me just start with Kelly. Kelly, 1,000-mile bike ride? No way could I ever do that. Are you looking forward to this?
Absolutely. 1,000 miles. Who wouldn't look forward to that?
Tell me about the race.
So the Wounded Warrior Project Soldier Ride 250, for me, it's a way to bring a whole bunch of veterans together that we can showcase our ability. And sometimes our ability doesn't look like mainstream ability. So to be able to have bikes that accommodate all sorts of different types of injuries, but also be in a safe environment where we can focus on, shared stories, camaraderie, and just have that overall energy, be able to spread out into our everyday life and be able to take that after the soldier ride ends and just be able to find a way to enrich our lives a little bit more before we had entered into the Soldier Ride 250.
I talked about this earlier, Kelly, that in generations past, people would come back and they'd have the obvious scars of war, but then they'd also have the scars we never saw. And our grandparents and our aunts and our uncles never talked about it. They just held that deep down inside. I think we've done a better job of making sure that we support our warriors when they come back, whether their scars are physical or unseen. How does Wounded Warrior Project help you and the rest of the warriors that have been through stuff that we only dream of in our worst nightmares? When you get together, it's got to give you a sense of belonging once again. Kelly?
So Wounded Warrior Project has Wounded Warrior Project has definitely helped me in terms of the mental health aspect. I initially got involved with Wounded Warrior Project through adaptive sports because being an athlete is something that I had always done since I was a child. And when I first entered the military, and even through my deployments, mental health resources were not something that was readily available. So I did not know what to do with a lot of my experiences that I had on deployments. And it really wasn't until Wounded Warrior Project through adaptive sports that I realized there's much more resources to deal with mental health. And for me, it's to be able to destigmatize that mental health is something that everybody, deals with. It's not just specific to veterans, even though we have our own unique set of things that we deal with, tied around military service and deployments. But mental health for me specifically has been a challenge. It's been a priority, and Wounded Warrior Project's earned my trust. So therefore, it has become easier to go to some of these programs, to talk about it. And I feel like this helps give back to other veterans to say that, it's okay to ask for help because there are genuine people and organizations out there that want to give us that help.
We're talking to Kelly. She's an Army veteran. She's going to be participating in this ride. And then Megan Wagner's joining us. She's the Director of Physical Health and Wellness for the Wounded Warrior Project. I think that might be the coolest title I've ever read on the radio. You should also put, Megan, behind your name, Angel, because you take care of these people that have taken care of us. Tell me about what you do and how Wounded Warrior Project helps our men and women that have worn our cloth.
Absolutely. You mentioned different generations of military service and sacrificing for our nation. We hope that this generation of veterans is the most well-adjusted in our nation's history. We know that transition from service into civilian life can be incredibly challenging, but also as veterans transition from one chapter of life to another, things can come up and be difficult. And Wounded Warrior Project is there to support warriors on their journey throughout the life stages. We're talking about cycling today and physical activity as just one tool to help cope with that transition or challenges that life may bring us or bring these warriors. We also offer many other programs and services, from financial wellness to mental health and wellness, and opportunities for connection. We encourage warriors that need help or are unsure of what their next step may be to join us, and we can help them through those stages and overcome those obstacles that they may be facing.
Megan, how difficult is it for someone who was proud, who served in the military, to reach out and say, I need help?
Sure. There's certainly a stigma around service. You're trained to be physically fit. You're trained to be strong and resilient. And then when facing challenges or injury in mind, body, or spirit, it can be difficult to face that stigma and what you've been trained to do, to ask for help. It could be experienced or shown as a sign of weakness. It can be difficult to be vulnerable. Many veterans face isolation and can struggle as things start to compound with different issues. Sometimes that first step of asking for help can be incredibly difficult. Through Wounded Warrior Project, we create many different types of engagement opportunities and ways to connect with us so that we can meet the warrior where they are, where they can take that first step that's best for them, and then we can help them throughout their journey of healing and recovery.
Megan, I'm sorry, Kelly, let me ask you this, and I'll come back to Megan in just a second. What do you want our audience to know about Wounded Warrior Project, how we appreciate our veterans, when you see a veteran standing there and you could tell that he lost a limb or he's been disfigured or he's wearing a cap that says Vietnam veteran, what do you want us to know?
What I would want you to know that is, being an amputee, sometimes a lot of people look at the physical side of being an amputee, but I would say that for me, the biggest struggle that I had has been the mental health challenges. And, there's a lot of times that I feel like we don't use a lot of sensitivity when approaching our veterans, and that everyone has had different experiences and it's affected them differently. So not everybody's service is tied back to, these wonderful and happy memories. And sometimes when you approach veterans and, maybe you don't get the reaction that you're hoping for, it's because it could trigger, something a little more darker for them. And I would just want, for people to know that maybe reserve some judgment, when approaching veterans, because it is a difficult thing when you've been deployed and you've seen certain things, and to kind of come back and try to fit back into everyday life when you don't feel like you fit back into everyday life.
Megan, how can our listeners support?
We appreciate all the listeners out there for providing support to Wounded Warrior Projects. For more information about Soldier Ride, as well as all of our programs and services, you can visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
That's awesome. One more time, the website?
woundedwarriorproject.org.
Whether, and again, it's somebody reminded me, when you're giving back, it's either your time, talent, or treasure. And I think the Wounded Warrior Project could use all of that. Kelly, best of luck on the ride. Megan, if you were here, I give you a big old hug.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Keep up the great work. And Kelly, I'll be thinking of you while you're riding. I'll be sitting on my couch watching TV, but while you're riding, I'll be thinking about you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Take care. WoundedWarriorProject.org for more information. All right, coming up on the program, boy, we still have more to go, man. It's that's something that really touches me. Dr. Murray Sabrin will join us coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll talk to him as we remind everybody about this great experiment. How ironic is that the King of England will be in Virginia tomorrow. We'll talk about revolutionary times and how this country was built in the experiment we continue to be. Michael Greer, GreerFinancialGroup.com.